You know, pain and suffering, it's something every single one of us has to deal with. It's this massive question that's been around forever, and honestly, it's one of the toughest parts of being human. So today, we're going to look at a really different way to think about it, a perspective that comes from the work of Father Dawoud Lamie. Let's dive in and see if we can make sense of it. I mean, this is the question, right? The one that keeps us up at night. You've probably asked it yourself. Why is there so much pain in a world that can also be so good? If life is supposed to be this amazing gift, why does it hurt so much sometimes? That's the huge challenge we're going to try to unpack today. Okay, so here's a core idea we're going to explore. According to this view, pain isn't just random. It's not some cosmic accident or just pointless cruelty. No, the idea here is that it's actually a tool, an intentional tool that's been designed for a profound spiritual purpose. So that's the big question, isn't it? What is that purpose? All right, to get our heads around this, we're going to walk through 5 main ideas. We'll start with that universal question, then look at pain as a kind of divine alarm. After that, we'll talk about suffering for spiritual growth, how it can be a path to unity, and finally, how we might find God in the middle of hardship. Okay, so first things first. Before we can really get into it, we have to understand what we even mean by pain in this context. It's a super important starting point. And right here, this is the first huge mind shift. We need to kind of throw out the idea that pain is just a punishment for doing something wrong. The argument here is that pain is actually protective. Think about it like a smoke detector. The alarm is loud and annoying, but it's not the fire. It's the warning of the fire, right? It's a signal screaming, hey, pay attention. Something is wrong. So if pain is this protective alarm, how does it actually work? This brings us to our first big concept, pain as a divine alarm. It's a message we desperately need to hear, even if it's a really, really hard one. So this alarm system apparently works on 3 different levels. The first one is for the body, and that's the obvious one, right? You touch a hot stove, it hurts, you pull your hand back. Simple. But then it goes deeper. For the soul, it's that nagging feeling of guilt or emptiness. That's the alarm telling you you've wandered off your spiritual path. And then there's the level of the world. Things like widespread injustice or war, that's like a collective alarm bell for all of humanity, a wake-up call that we need to fix something big. But, what about the kind of pain that isn't just a quick warning? What about long-term suffering? Well, that brings us to the second big idea, suffering as a training ground for the soul. This chart really lays out the logic. I mean, think about it. A life of total comfort, it's nice, sure, but it doesn't really push us to grow, does it? It can make us kind of weak or complacent. But the path of trial, of difficulty, that's where our character is really built. It's where we learn patience, where we're humbled, and where we forge this incredible spiritual strength that you just can't get when everything is easy. Yeah, and this old metaphor of fire purifying gold, it just perfectly captures this idea. When you dig gold out of the ground, it's mixed with all this worthless rock. You have to put it through intense fire to burn all that junk away, leaving just the pure, precious gold. The argument is that suffering does the exact same thing to our souls. It burns away the impurities, like our pride, our selfishness, and reveals what's true and eternal underneath. Now, this next idea is a bit of a paradox, really. It sounds kind of backwards, but the argument is that suffering, this thing that feels so incredibly isolating, can actually be a path to connecting with others. Let's dig into how that could possibly work. Okay, so it happens in a few steps. First, our own pain creates empathy. It's hard to really truly understand what someone else is going through until you've been through something tough yourself. Then, that empathy builds community. Think about people who survive a disaster together. They have a bond that's just unbreakable. And finally, from this spiritual viewpoint, it can unite a person with the divine, letting them share in a really core part of their faith. Okay, so pain is an alarm, it's a tool for growth, it's a path to unity. That's all well and good. But how do you actually get through it when you're in the thick of it? That brings us to our last section, finding God, or a bigger picture right in the middle of all that hardship. I love this analogy of life as a jigsaw puzzle. You know, when you're doing a big puzzle and you pick up one piece, it might just be a weird dark blob of color. It looks ugly, makes no sense by itself, but you trust that the person who made the puzzle knows exactly where that piece fits into the beautiful final picture. The idea here is that our painful moments are like that one piece. We can't see the whole picture, but we're asked to trust that it's a crucial part of something bigger and more beautiful. And here's another really cool way to look at it. Instead of pain being a roadblock that just stops you in your tracks, What if it's a landmark? Imagine you're a sailor caught in a horrible storm. That lighthouse on the shore isn't part of the storm, but its light is the one thing that guides you back to safety. In the same way, pain can be that reference point that reorients us, reminds us of what's truly important, and guides us back home. So let's wrap this all up. What's the big takeaway? The core message is this: pain is not meaningless. It's not just random static. It has a job to do. Maybe it's a warning. Maybe it's a tool for growth. Maybe it's there to build unity and empathy. Or maybe it's there to deepen our faith. And this is maybe the most important point of all. The goal is not the pain itself. Nobody is saying suffering is good. The whole point is what the pain produces. It's about what rises from the ashes. The idea is that it can create a deeper connection to God and a more compassionate soul. That's the purpose, not the pain. So that leaves us with one last thing to think about. Look, this way of thinking doesn't make pain go away, right? But it does give us a new lens to see it through. So the real question for you and for me is this: if we even entertain the idea that our pain has a purpose, how does that change how we face it? How does that change how we walk through the fire when it comes?